Hey everybody, Andy here with Addictive Archery. I've had a few questions about arrow spine pop up from my arrow making video that you saw. So I'm going to kind of cover that today on what exactly arrow spine is and why it's important. So first off, arrow spine is the measurement of how stiff the arrow is, how much it deflects. So on a wood arrow, the standard is 26 inches apart with a 2-pound weight suspended in the middle, and what we're trying to figure out is how far that 2-pound weight is going to bend that arrow down for deflection, okay? That gives us the stiffness of the arrow so that we can group them together and figure out what the right spine is for you to shoot. Now, it isn't a direct correlation. If you shoot a 50-pound bow, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be shooting a 50-pound spine arrow. There's a lot of other factors that go into that because those standards were set in the late 60s by the Archery Manufacturers Organization. And bows nowadays, with the improvements in performance of your longbows and your recurves, definitely we need to take that into account. Back in those days, we're talking English style longbows that still shot great, but you get into the reflex deflex and into the recurves and into the high performance limb laminations and stuff that affects the way the arrows will fly. And so we need to take all that into account, and that's where I can help you with that. Now, there is a difference between wood and carbon. Again, the wood arrow was 26 inches apart with a 2-pound weight in the center. A carbon arrow, these are measured at 28 inches with a 1.94 pound weight suspended in the middle, okay? And again, that deflection is their spine. So with that 1.94 weight at 28 inches apart suspended in there, if it deflects 5/100ths of an inch or a 1/2 inch, that's a 500 spine. A 400 is 400ths of an inch, so it's gonna be a little stiffer. And then you had a 340, and I think now they even have a 280, is really stiff with that weight set in there. So again, that's all arrow spine is how much the arrow is going to bend with that weight suspended in the middle when it's sitting on your bench. So that's arrow spine. As far as more information on that, there's a ton of information online. If you Google the archery's or AMO arrow spine, you can find their standards booklet. There's charts and stuff that will give you what the deflection is, how that correlates over to a 50-55 or a 60-65, 65-70 pound ratings that we use for the wood arrows. And then, you know, what I've done is I have the wood arrow chart memorized, or I can tell you what you should be shooting in a wood arrow. I've got all the conversions for the carbon and aluminum. Anytime I get a carbon or an aluminum shaft in the shop, I will spine test them. So I'll throw them in the spine tester, set it, and give it a spine. And so I know that's a 22-19, and that is a 92-pound spine equivalent to a wood arrow. So even if you're shooting a 400 or a 500 spine carbon arrow, you tell me the length and the weight, I can usually get you really close on the wood, and I'll tell you exactly what you got to shoot, what the conversion would be. Or if you want to go the other way, if you've been shooting a wood spine for years and it's flying good for you, I can help you figure out what the equivalent of that would be for a carbon or aluminum arrow. So we'll go over how to use some of the spine testers and exactly how we do it. Okay, so the first one I want to cover here is the Ace Spine Tester. This is their model 107. It's one of my favorites. It seems to be the most consistent between spine tester to spine tester, and I know that a few of the suppliers that I use for arrow shafts use the exact same tester, and I've checked mine against theirs, and they're right on. Now, the unique thing about this spine tester is they can be converted for carbon arrows or wood arrows. So now, to measure a wood arrow on this spine tester, what we're going to do is we're going to get it and center it over the 26. So basically, I want an inch off of either side for a 28-inch shaft. Most of the shafts that I have are 32 inches. So I have a little bit hanging off each side. And you want to orient your wood grain vertically on this, because when we put this on the bow, when I orient your nocks, I have the wood grain of that arrow sitting horizontally on your bow, so that when you shoot that arrow and we inflect archer's paradox or side-to-side motion of that, I know how that arrow is going to react. The arrow is going to try, we want the stiffest side towards your riser, so that we can predict how that arrow will react to the force and put on it by the bow. So when we're testing wood arrow spine, we're going to stick it on here. We are going to orient the grain up and down vertically, because that's how we're going to hang the weight, and we're trying to figure out how much that's going to bend. On this one, we're going to set our needle here to the set mark, which should be 0 on this, and then we're going to let that weight free hang. And you can see when this moves down, this wood shaft is 56.5 pounds. Is what that shaft weighs. Okay, and that's how you check your shafts. Here's another one. Now this is a 23/64 diameter, so I'm put it there in the center. You can see how the set pin moved on me. So I adjust the thread here to get me back down to 0, and we're going to drop the weight on it again all the way, and that is a 70-pound shaft right there. So that's how you test a wood arrow for spine. Now the nice thing about this spine tester too, I had to show you, is you can also check them for straightness. So you can take this and spin, that's why it's called a spin spine. And you can see this shaft has just a little bit of a wow on it. And I'll do another video on how to straighten shafts and some of my personal thoughts on how to do that and what the best way to go about it is. So I figured I had to talk a little bit about carbon shafts too. Carbon arrows do have a spine to them. Problem is that we can't see where the grain orientation or where the overlap is to be able to determine where that is. So what we're going to do now, I have not adjusted this for a carbon shaft. I don't have this set out to 28, so I'm still using the wood. It's the same thing. It's going to measure deflection though, so the values won't equal what the spine. This is a 400 spine. I've got the label covered up because don't want to piss anybody off when showing this, but when you put that down, right now this is spining out to be 78 pounds, and that's pretty standard for a 400 spine arrow. But once it's there, when you turn this and you let go, you can see how that needle moves. And this arrow, and I just felt it pop there where you can feel where it goes over the rough part, or the spine. It spikes at 81 pounds and it goes down to 77. So this is how you knock tune a carbon shaft. So what I do is when I on all the carbon shafts that leave the shop here, before I fletch them, I will take the carbon arrow and I will put it on here and I will spin it around to find the stiffest spine on it. And then I will use my marker and I'll put a little dot right where the stiff side is, and then I will orientate the knock that way so that I can make sure that the cock feather's there. And again, that will orient your arrow so that the stiff side is against the shelf of the bow, so that they will react to archer's paradox the same way. So on all your carbon shafts, you got to look and see if you have a spine tester. Try to find their stiff side, and you'd be surprised how much variance there is in some of the carbon shafts on in between the dozens. Okay, so this is another spine tester I have here in the shop. It's a Bearpaw Spine Tester 2009. Basically, it's the same concept. On this one, we turned it on. It's all digital. This is the one my son likes to use because it's easier for him to read the numbers. You know, at 6 he can read them now. A little harder on trying to line up the arm. on the other ones. But so basically, put the arrow in here, center it up, drop this down so it's at rest on the shaft, and then tighten it back up. And then basically this weighs 2 pounds. This is 26 inches apart. Pick it up, let the button down. Again, I've oriented the grain up and down, so we're testing for the stiff side of the arrow. And this one is 74 pounds. And it's pretty accurate. I find it to be within a pound or two of those. So when I'm spine testing the bulk shafts, my son can help me get in the ballpark with this one. And then before I make up a dozen arrows, I will take the dozen out and I recheck the spine and make sure I didn't miss anything, so that I'd rather find it in the early stages when I have the shafts, not when I have the finished arrow. Well, I hope you liked my video on arrow spine. I hope I cleared that up a little bit. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below, and subscribe and give me a like. I'm planning on working on some more videos out to help you guys in the making of the wood arrows, or just traditional archery in general. Thanks.